When most people think about San Francisco, this is what comes to mind. The Golden Gate Bridge, the trolleys, the bay, the skyline, the neighborhoods, the character of the city. But when a firefighter sees this, we see something different. As soon as I decided to start exploring fire departments around the globe, I knew that this had to be one of my first episodes. Because in a lot of ways, San Francisco might be the best example of an East Coast city on America's West Coast. It has the density, the tight neighborhoods, and that same old port city layout you'd expect to find in America's older East Coast settlements. To understand why San Francisco is such a challenging city to protect, you have to look at how this city was built. California ended up on the far edge of the Wild West. And out here, you run into problems that you don't see back east. And then you add this. Steep terrain changes everything. San Francisco wasn't built on flat ground, it was built on steep hills with dramatic elevation change. If you're like me, when you think of cities west of the Mississippi, you probably think of something like this. Los Angeles, Phoenix, Denver, Dallas, Seattle, San Diego. Wide streets, spread out neighborhoods, cities that had room to grow. San Francisco didn't grow like that. As soon as the US took control of California, stories spread about the wealth waiting out here, if you could just make it to this brand new place called San Francisco. And when that kind of opportunity hits, people don't wait. During the gold rush, the population and construction here exploded. Almost overnight, this went from a remote outpost to one of the most important port cities in the country. Probably faster than just about any settlement in history. They built fast and close together. Everything was centered around access to the water. A lot like the cities back east and in Europe where many of these settlers came from. San Francisco took on that same dense port city design. Tight streets, buildings packed together, a layout designed around trade, not the terrain. The difference was where it was built. San Francisco sits on a small piece of land, only about 7 miles by 7 miles. There wasn't room to spread out, so everything stacked together. And then there's what it was built out of. A lot of early construction here relied on wood, massive amounts of it. Even tons of California's old-growth redwoods were cut down to make the rapid city growth happen. So now, you've got a city that grew fast, built dense, on limited space, with materials that can burn. And from a firefighting perspective, that combination matters. Because when something goes wrong in a city like this, it doesn't stay small for long. And in 1906, all of those conditions were put to the test. Just after 5 a.m. on April 18th, a massive earthquake struck San Francisco. Buildings collapsed, infrastructure failed, and gas lines ruptured. Almost immediately, fires started breaking out all across the city. And it wasn't the earthquake that destroyed most of San Francisco, it was the fire. With water systems damaged and access already limited, firefighters had very little to work with. And the city built the way that this one was, the fire spread fast. Those fires burned from building to building for 3 days and continued smoldering long after that. By the time it was over, about 80% of the city had been destroyed. Not just small wood structures, entire blocks, massive buildings, gone. As I was researching and studying this horrible catastrophe, I couldn't help but think of the firefighters working in San Francisco at the time. I imagined that they wanted to do so much, but without a steady water supply and with 27 of their firehouses destroyed, they must have felt so powerless, unable to stop fires from spreading. They even tried using explosives to destroy buildings and slow the fire spread. But that didn't work either, and it just ended up making things worse. Fire spread in the city for 2 and 3 days after the initial quake set all of this in motion. Even though I've never responded to a quake or a fire of this magnitude, I know the frustration of seeing homes burn. Even days after the fire front has already moved through. Fires don't just stop after the initial impact is over. Wildfires often slam into dense neighborhoods. And once the fires start burning buildings, it keeps working. Finding weaknesses, burning structure to structure until there's nothing left. And when you look at San Francisco in 1906, the way the fire spread, it makes sense. A city built fast, built dense, on limited space, with materials that burn, and a water system that failed when it mattered most. And that fire changed everything about the way this city fights fire. Because from that point forward, this city had to adapt. You can still see reminders of it today. This building survived the 1906 earthquake and fire. This building was named the Sentinel, and it's still standing tall even today. There were a handful of structures built before the earthquake that made it through the fires, but most of the city didn't. And today, you add something else into the mix. Now you add vertical scale on top of all that, and the problem gets even worse. Because while the construction can change, the environment stayed the same. The hills are still here, the density is still here, and today, firefighters still work inside this same reality. San Francisco is a unique structural firefighting environment. Most of the work here happens inside old buildings, in tight neighborhoods with very little space to operate. And when you get down into the city itself, this is where the real challenge starts. Tight streets, dense construction, and limited access. In a city like this, access, water, and response times aren't just important, they're everything. There's no margin for error. You've got narrow streets, cars lining both sides, and steep grades that affect how apparatus move in position. And what stood out to me is how straight the streets are regardless of how steep. Unlike the hills you see in other cities with winding roads, streets on hills here, they run straight up and down, which changes how you approach everything. And then there's what you don't see from the street. From the front, a lot of these buildings look uniform, but to the rear, it's a completely different picture. It's almost impossible to read. Stairways, additions, open spaces. Getting to the back of these structures can be just as challenging as getting to the front. Water supply for these fires is always a priority. And one of the most unique parts I discovered about this city is how it adapted after 1906. Most people in the city have no idea that they're walking and driving on one of the most important water systems that we have in our entire country. There are underground cisterns built and located right beneath the streets. So even if the main fire system fails, firefighters still have water right in front of them. This way of storing water for fires is genius, and it's something that I've never encountered in the suburban environments that I've worked. And just like we talked about earlier, fire spread here is shaped by the environment. Close spacing, vertical construction, limited separation between buildings. Fire can extend quickly if it's not controlled early. Most of my career has been spent in suburban and wildland environments. Different tactics, different fuels, different tools, but the principles carry over. Terrain matters, access matters, and time matters. Whether you're on a hillside in the brush or a hillside in the middle of a city, you're still racing the clock. And in a city like this, the tempo stays high. Calls come in constantly with some of the busiest firehouses in the country. So crews have to be ready, not just for one incident, but for the next one right behind it. And over time, working in an environment like this, it shapes the people doing the job because every fire department develops its own culture. And in a city like San Francisco, that culture is built on tradition and pride. This is a department with deep history, and you could still see it in the way that the San Francisco firefighters operate today. My son and I dropped in to visit a friend and to learn a bit more about their current operations and equipment. I was so looking forward to this, and honestly, it was so exciting to see firsthand. They're still using traditional equipment that I haven't seen in service for decades. In fact, I'm pretty sure that in order to find some of this same old school equipment being used where I'm from in Southern California, you'd have to check around in some old photos or visit your fire museum. From the white and black paint on the ends of the wooden ladders.
It weighs more than 350 pounds and takes 6 people to lift it.
To legacy rope used for halyards and brass hose fittings still used even though lighter materials now exist. This brass hydrant connection was huge and weighs 88 pounds. I could go deep on so much of this, but on this video, I'm gonna keep it brief. Here's a cool side note. All of these beautiful wood ladders, they're not only serviced by San Francisco Fire Department, they're actually made from scratch in the department's very own ladder construction shop. There's an obvious connection to the past that's still present. They probably don't hang on to these things because it's easy. It's obviously continuing the legacy that matters to them. There's so many unique challenges that we saw here in San Francisco. What do you think maybe that the average person doesn't really realize about fighting fire in San Francisco?
We're very aggressive because there's zero property line. It can get like 3 buildings going.
And when I asked him about what some of those aggressive tactics would include, here's what I got.
What's supposed to happen, first engine goes to the address, pull the line, start attacking the fire, drop 2 lines, ladder the building, throw the aerial, go to the roof and cut the hole, opening doors, pulling ceilings.
So it's just definitely like the SOPs, SOGs that you
Yes.
have. And that's something you see everywhere. Different cities, different departments, but the same core values keep showing up. pride in the job, commitment to the team, and a responsibility to the community. But along with that pride comes something else, because every firefighter carries the weight that comes with the job. Firefighters don't just respond to emergencies, they carry them. The bad calls, the close calls, the ones that didn't go the way you wanted them to. And over time, that load adds up. It's not usually one single moment, it's an accumulation. Years of seeing things, dealing with things, and then going home and trying to be present off duty for your family. A lot of guys just keep pushing through it. They stay busy or over-focused on the job, but they never really deal with what they're carrying. That's one of the reasons the Fire Up program exists. It's a place where men, led by first responders, can step away from the noise and start getting honest about what's really going on. Not through motivational hype, not through surface-level conversations, through challenge and through brotherhood, and through real connection with men who understand the weight of the job and the responsibility of being a leader, a husband, and a father. Because strength isn't pretending that you're fine. Strength is being willing to face what's real so you can show up better for your family, for your team, and the people counting on you. That's what matters no matter what city you're serving in. And if you know someone in search of positive ways to manage life's stress and struggles, drop me a comment and check out the Fire Up link in the description. San Francisco is one of the most unique fire environments in the country. It has the density and the layout of an old East Coast city, but it carries the reality of the American West. And that's what shaped this city: the streets, the buildings, the fireground, and the way San Francisco firefighters do their job. Spending time here, you start to feel how different it really is. Not just a city with iconic architecture, but as a place where environment, history, and construction all come together and directly impact how fires are fought. And just like anywhere else, the people responding first have to adapt to it. They learn the streets, they understand what they're up against, and they carry the responsibility that comes with protecting a city like this. Because no matter where you go, every fire department is shaped by its unique environment. Different cities, different challenges, different conditions, but the mission stays the same. Protect the community and take care of your people, and be ready when it matters most. And that's exactly what I'm exploring: how firefighters protect communities around the world. If you want to see how the job is done in other places, subscribe and stick around.